here, and today we're talking about The Knife and Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. So this is the first book in the Chaos Walking trilogy, which is a young adult sci-fi series, and in this series we follow a kid named Todd Hewitt, who is the last boy in Prenticetown. Todd has spent his entire life believing that Prenticetown is the only town on their entire planet, and that years prior, when the people of Prenticetown went to war with the Spackle, who are the aliens that reside on this planet, the Spackle released a germ called the Noise, which made it so that you could hear the thoughts of all of the men and killed off all of the women. Just 1 month prior to his 13th birthday, where he will officially become a man, Todd and his dog Minchie stumble upon a pocket of complete silence, which is impossible. Todd returns home only to find his father sending him away because the men of Prenticetown have kept a huge secret from him, and Todd and Minchie now have to run for their lives. On their way out of town, Todd and Minchie make another discovery, a young girl named Viola. Todd and Viola are now running for their lives from the men of Prenticetown, who are chasing them down as Todd is attempting to figure out what this huge secret is that has been kept from him for his entire life. So this was my first Patrick Ness book, and the writing style took a little bit for me to get used to, particularly because of the dialect and spelling that Ness winds up using for the character of Todd, but I wound up really enjoying the writing style as I got more used to it. Todd as a character, however, grated me quite a bit. He is very whiny at the beginning of the book, and I am learning that regardless of the level of maturity they are or are not supposed to have, I just don't like whiny protagonists. They really, really bother me. Todd is, like I said, rather whiny at the beginning of the book, and the other thing that really bothered me about his character throughout pretty much the entire book is his stubbornness and his sort of I have to do this all on my own mentality, and how he won't let Viola or anyone else that they encounter along their journey really help him figure out what is going on. And it was just one of those moments where I was like, come on dude, just like let other people help you and then maybe things won't keep going completely haywire. However, despite the fact that I really did not like Todd, I love the relationship that develops between Todd and Viola. Their relationship is very interesting from the very beginning, because when Todd encounters Viola, he is encountering the first girl that he has ever seen in his entire life. He's gone his entire life believing that all of the women are dead and that they don't exist on this planet anymore, and then all of a sudden he stumbles upon a girl. Aside from the fact that just her being a girl is surprising, she also doesn't have any noise, and he has spent his entire life surrounded by men and their noise, and he doesn't know how to process or deal with this person who he can't hear what she's thinking or what she's feeling or know what she's about to do or anything like that. I really, really love how their relationship develops though, because they both have come from completely different worlds, are now thrown together in this race for their lives to get away from the men of Prenticetown, and you see how they go from completely mistrusting each other and just really not even knowing what to do with each other to eventually getting to the point where they recognize that they are pretty much the only other person that they can trust in the entire world. I just wound up really, really loving how their relationship develops, how their friendship grows, how Viola begins to trust Todd more, how Todd begins to trust Viola more, how they become very fiercely protective of each other, both in a physical sense and in sort of an emotional sense. Their relationship is probably my favorite thing about this book, and one of the big reasons that I will be continuing on in the series, because I want to see how it continues to develop. As far as the plot goes, it was pretty wash, rinse, repeat. Once Todd and Viola start on their journey, we get into this cycle of them running for a while, them getting captured by someone that's pursuing them, and then them escaping, and then them running for a while, and the same thing happening over and over again, and it just wound up feeling very cyclical. And I had a lot of moments where I was like, just incapacitate the person that is chasing you. You don't have to kill them necessarily, just like, you know, knock them out, tie them up to a tree, do something so that they can't keep following you and capturing you. But no, that just never happened. They always just like knocked them out temporarily and did nothing to like restrain them or anything like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, guys, just please stop. One of the things that was the most frustrating for me throughout this book is the general theme of miscommunication. The noise as a plot device, which is basically just the thoughts of all of the men in this world, functions to give us some narration and give us information about the different things that happen in Prenticetown that Todd doesn't know about. But the way that miscommunication was used throughout the entire book just drove me absolutely crazy. We constantly had situations where people were talking to Todd and he would ask them about Prenticetown and why everyone was freaking out and why it was such a big deal and all this stuff, and inevitably they got separated or that person died or whatever, and Todd still didn't know the history of Prenticetown and why he was running for his life and why he wasn't welcomed in the towns that he was going to and all this stuff. But beyond that, in the rare circumstances that someone would actually tell him what was going on by opening up their noise or whatever, Todd didn't tell us as the reader what was going on. He would have these reactions and he would go, oh my gosh, that's a thing, whatever, and then he didn't tell us what was happening. It felt like this forced suspense where Ness was trying to use it as a way to build suspense and all this stuff, and I understand that that was the point of the way that he used the noise and the way that all this miscommunication happened and stuff like that, but it didn't work for me. I found myself getting very, very frustrated, and I was like, okay, seriously, just tell us what the heck is going on. And despite the fact that you can sort of infer the secret of Prentisstown and why it's such a big deal and all this stuff as you get further along in the story, it just would have been nice if there wasn't this continued air of this forced suspense and things like that, and we were just told outright earlier on in the story what the big deal about Prentisstown was. My biggest issue with this book, though, was our main villain. Aside from the fact that I didn't understand his motivations as a character, like, at all, and when his motivations at the end of the book are revealed, it just seemed very weak and there was no substance behind them. The dude should have died in, like, the 4th chapter. Like, I mean, he must be a cat or something because he basically has 9 lives, because the number of things that happened to this guy throughout this book that he survives are just completely implausible. And I could not suspend my disbelief that he was there for any reason other than as a plot device to bring this certain event about at the end of the book. And the further along we got in the story, and then when we finally did get to the end and there's this big climax and, you know, the final sort of confrontation between our main villain and Todd and all this stuff, and the reason that he was chasing after him and all this stuff is revealed, I was like, really? Like, that's the reason for all of this? And based on the fact that this dude is presented as just another human being, he's not presented as having any special powers or anything like that, I really just, he should not have still been alive at the end of the book. He should have died super, super early on. And when we got to that confrontation and I had that sort of really reveal to things, I was like, okay, yeah, he's really not there for any other reason than as a plot device. Having a character that should have died super early on, had really weak motivations and things like that, and really functioned purely as a plot device and nothing else, really dragged down part of the story for me, so I could not suspend my disbelief that he should be alive for any reason other than the author wanted him alive to use as a plot device. On top of the fact that the final confrontation between the villain and Todd was just sort of a letdown, the actual ending was kind of a letdown too. I didn't necessarily see the ending coming, but when we did finally get to that ending, I was like, I don't know, it felt very anticlimactic, and it felt like a final edition of that forced suspense and that forced, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen kind of thing that is pushed throughout the entire story with the miscommunication and things like that, and I was not a huge fan, and so I wound up giving this book 3.5 out of 5 stars. Like I mentioned earlier, the relationship between Todd and Viola is probably my favorite thing about the story, and I really, really enjoy that, so I am very curious to see how that continues to develop throughout books 2 and 3 in this series, but on the whole, it was a little bit let down by this book, so we'll see if my opinion of the series as a whole changes as I progress through it. Well, there you have it, friends. That is my review of The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. If you have read the book, I would love to hear your thoughts, so please let me know in the comments below. If you want to follow me elsewhere online, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Goodreads, all at Zarin Hayes. The links for those profiles will be in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye! Hello, friends! Talking about The Knife of Never Letting Go by not Chaos Walking. The author's name is not Chaos Walking. So this is the first book in the Chaos Walking trilogy, that follows a kid named Todd try one more time.